So this is the auxiliary battery under the seat. It's not the one that runs the engine, but it runs a whole bunch of other stuff in the van. And here's the positive terminal, here's the negative terminal. And we've been it's been running low a lot. So like we use the lights in the van, we use the fridge, which is over here. We use the lights, which are up here when we're camping and stuff. So we're always wondering like how much juice is left in there. And I have a multimeter in the trunk, but it's kind of annoying to always take that out to figure it out. So I decided to put in a little voltmeter. We'll see how that goes. I decided to go for this thing. It's like $8 or $9 on Amazon. I can put a screenshot of it right here. But this is not part of it. That's part of the fridge setup. But basically you just get this, you get a little collar for it. And what you end up doing is you stick this through the middle hole. This is fun to do one-handed. And then this just tightens it down. So basically you just have to drill a hole into whatever you're going to put it into. And I've already scraped it out here with the screw because I was too lazy to get a pencil. And the plan is, this is a panel on the back of the chair. And the plan is that I'm going to put it right here so it'll live right behind the battery. And then so when I want to see what the voltage on the battery is, I'll simply move the seat forward and I'll have a display right here telling me exactly how much voltage that battery has. I want to have one eventually on the dashboard, but it's just, I'm too lazy right now to run the cables all the way to the dash somewhere and build a whole setup. So for now, this will do for $8 or $9. It's not exactly a bad investment. And we have a trip coming up on Saturday, so I wanted to get it done. So as much as I want to throw this together super quick, I'm going to test it first to see if it even works before I start cutting into everything. I probably should have done that before I scored the plastic, but let's hope it works. Come on, Amazon. Pull through. They have these in blue, red, some other color. I don't know. So if this one doesn't work, hopefully I can get a different one. So let's try it. So first thing I'm going to do is put together a couple of wires for this that I'm going to use eventually just to test it out. So let's do that first. I found this black wire that already had an eyelet on the end of it, which is perfect. And then the other end of it, I just snipped it and then stripped the cable off of it. To do that, you use wire strippers. You can do it with a razor blade, but it's a pain in the butt. So you get these things. It tells you what gauge the wire is. You can see the different holes right there. So you can read the side of the wire, see what gauge it is, or just kind of eyeball it. And then you cinch it like that around it, cut into it, but it doesn't go through the wire, obviously. And then you pull it off, and then that strips it. It's a lot easier. Those wire strippers are awesome. So the eyelet side is going to connect to the battery. It does so like this. Every battery has a little bolt on it that kind of squeezes it and tightens it down. And this just goes, I'm trying to show you as I'm doing it, it just goes right on the end here. So you loosen that bolt, put it on there, and then put the bolt back on. It squeezes it in between. The other end of the wire needs to have a connection, and that is a spade connection. That's this guy right here. So how do you connect these two? There you go. How do you connect those two? The answer is you use one of these. And basically it connects on this side like this, plugging it in this way. On the other side, it's going to go in here, and then you just crimp it. Crimp it means like to squeeze it, and then it's all set. And that's it. You just look for on the wire strippers, it's a red, blue, and a yellow, and the red is the smallest gauge wire, the blue is the middle, and the yellow is the largest. And yes, the numbers go in reverse order for gauge of wires. And that's it. Connection done. Gonna do the same thing for the red wire here. Blue connection, so set it on the blue thing. Squeeze really hard once. I usually put a couple in just to make sure it's secure. Over engineer it. And that's it. Now I just need the other end. I gotta get an eyelet for this side. So I'm gonna go find one that fits on the battery. There you go. So those two are gonna go on the battery terminals, and then these two are gonna go onto the gauge. So I'm gonna hook it up temporarily right now just to see if it works, and then we'll go from there. Put the red wire into the plus and the black wire into the minus. Wires are all built the same, but it's nice to keep track of your stuff. So now I know that the red wire is in the plus side of the gauge, and I'll take the red wire to the plus side of the battery. It makes it a lot easier. So I literally just put it over the end. I didn't even tighten it down yet. And as soon as I did, this thing flashed a bunch of 8s and then showed me that it's currently at 12.3, which is not too shabby. Usually when you're above 12 volts on a car battery, that's good. Anything below 12 is starting to get bad. So I actually thought it was lower than this, so hopefully the gauge is showing correctly. Maybe I'll double check it with my multimeter. So this is a $20, $25 little multimeter I got off of Amazon. Red goes on plus, black goes on minus, red goes into where it says V for voltage, and then black always goes to COM, which is common. You set this thing to 20 because that's a scale, and the V with the line and the 3 dots is DC voltage, and the line, the wavy line over here, is AC voltage. So right now we're dealing with batteries, so you definitely want to do DC. If I switch it, it'll still show me the right setting. It just won't have as many decimal places for me. So those are all different scales. I know that car batteries are maxed out at like 13, maybe sometimes even 14 volts. So the scale for 20 is fine. And I'm happy to say it's really, really close to the meter from Amazon. It might even be the same exact thing. I already forgot. I think it's 12.33. Pretty sweet. Nice. So now we got to cut a hole in this thing, and it makes it a little bit trickier because it has this little rib thing on the back of it. So I got to cut one of those down so it clears it. So that's the tricky part. And you always got to make sure you got plenty of room on the back of it, because these things, where did I just put it? There it is. These things are not flat, so they're not, see how it like protrudes outwards? So you better be sure that you have space back there. So I have, this is metal, and I don't want to cut into that, so I had to fit it so it goes right between those two things. So it should be okay, should be good. Unfortunately, it looks like we're gonna need a new dryer because this one threw up. What the? Yes, I know what's behind me. I don't want to talk about it. What you need for this job is this. Check these out. Ta-da! So that pokes a hole in the middle, and then it cuts a hole around that center point. So these are basically like radius drills, I would call them if I were a math nerd, which I guess I am because I don't know the actual name of them, but they work really well. Looks to me like it's about 1 1/8 inches in diameter, so let's try that and see what happens. Ah! Yeah, could be worse. That's the result of the drilling. I'm going to clean that up a little bit with a razor blade and cut this guy off right here. Boom, there it is. It's not perfect, but sometimes a little bit of imperfection can help hold the thing in place better than a perfect circle, so there's that. This is what I tell myself to stop from working on it forever. And this guy pops in here. I just put it in, and I realized I totally forgot about the frame. Durr. But you know what? It's so stiff, like I had to use 2 hands to get it in there very slowly. I think it's good. I'm not going to do overkill with a frame and all that stuff. So you loosen these and get the eyelets on there, but be careful, because if you short circuit these, like you connect them to each other, or even if your wrench connects this to the body of the car, it's going to spark pretty bad and scare the poop out of you. So maybe take off the ground first, and then you should be okay. All right, so positive is connected, negative is connected right there. Negative goes down here, positive goes down here, and they're both just hanging out down here waiting to be connected, that's all. This is the connection for the cigarette lighter that's down here that's hooked up to the fridge. That's all. When you replace a battery, do not over tighten these. Once you do, that's it. You have to buy a whole new connector for your battery, and it is a pain in the butt to replace, so take it easy. Don't tighten it like crazy, it will mess it up. And there it is, all hooked up, all put back together, buttoned up, and there's a nice display right there. And when you're driving, it's covered by the chair, and if you want to see real quick when you're stopped, just roll the chair forward and see what the battery's at.